There was just one goal in Manchester City's win over Brighton, and that goal came from Phil Foden. In fact, he is their top scorer in all competitions this season, and the future's looking bright for Phil Foden, isn't it, Janusz?
Yeah, I think, let's be honest here. I think Pep Guardiola has managed Phil Foden perfectly. And there are a lot of questions, right? I mean, first of all, he comes out and says, many months ago now, or whatever, a year or two, saying that he's the most talented player that he's ever seen or had. And of course, he had Leo Messi, right? So you're skeptical right away. And then on top of that, he really took a long time to play himself into certain roles, even a little bit of playing time. And I remember everybody's been talking about maybe we should be loaned out. Why are we wasting his talent? He's never going to find his way into the starting 11. And even I remember recently when he's had good games, Pep Guardiola wouldn't start in the next game, and would rotate him out of the lineup as well. But I just think sometimes you have to trust the managers. He knows, what to do with him. Now you look at him, I think he's got like 4 goals in the last 6 matches, Phil Foden. He's the leading goal scorer for Manchester City with 8. And you can actually see it, never mind the goals, but I think his confidence and composure growing. So, many compare him, to David Silva. I'm not necessarily sure that's a great comparison. If anything, Ilkay Gundogan is probably more, to me anyway, more David Silva at his best when he's healthy and 100% than Phil Foden. But I probably think Phil Foden is more like an Iniesta of Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. So look, I think it's positive. I think Pep Guardiola knows exactly where he's at and probably knows what he's still missing. And I think, as I've said, he's managing the expectations, his talent, his probably eagerness to play just perfectly, it seems.
Yeah, I'm sure he won't be too upset to hear the Iniesta comparison there from you. Listen, at the other end of the pitch, Janusz, we're seeing something from Manchester City that must be very pleasing for Pep Guardiola, not something you always associate with them, particularly when we've talked about their defensive issues. It's 8 clean sheets this season, and they've only conceded 13 goals, which is a Premier League lowest. They're not figures you would usually associate with a team that are getting criticised just a few months ago for its defensive issues.
Again, even more credit to Pep Guardiola. I never left his side, really. I haven't wavered. I think everybody understands how great of a coach he is. And, I suppose it's easy to say with the money they have and the, millions of pounds that they've spent defensively, of course that helps, but you still have to find a combination. That's right. Look, I mean, who would have thought that Aymeric Laporte would not be a starter, even though he's missing. He wasn't in the squad, of course. The re-emergence of John Stones, who I thought was going to be sold. I mean, I totally forgot that he exists, right? And it was actually, Ruben Diaz, who's been the actual key player. And everybody said last season, so wait till Aymeric Laporte comes back. They miss him. Of course, Manchester City missed him, and I'm sure he's going to play a large role. But I think people think that Pep Guardiola is just one way, sort of like Bielsa. I'm not comparing them, but just, this is my philosophy. I'm not changing it. Credit to Pep Guardiola I don't know if he listened to everybody, but he knew that Manchester City team needed more balance defensively. And, it's looking good now. 8 clean sheets right now. It's becoming a norm.
What else would you take away from the game that you saw against Brighton today for Man City?
It wasn't perfect. I think there's a little bit of a fluff. If you watch the first half, which I thought City were good, they were inches away, and the fluidity was very good. The movement with and without the ball, the false 9, the interchanging of the 6 players playing up front was great. If you notice, Cancelo played that inverted fullback, which Pep Guardiola likes to have. He's had it in Bayern Munich and Barcelona as well, and that looked good. But I think Brighton had a lot of joy on that side. So even though Joe Cancelo was coming inside when City had possession of the ball, but when they lost possession of the ball, very often he couldn't get back in time, or John Stones didn't rotate out enough of the time. So Bernardo, the Brazilian for Brighton, had a lot of room there, and I think most of the danger came into it. So although I get it sometimes, how people talk about this, look at the fullback coming inside, and sometimes it works, I still think there's a little bit of fluff. It gives you some numbers, and João Cancelo was good going forward, but he certainly at times didn't fill that spot that he was ultimately responsible for, which is right fullback. So look, all in all, I think I wouldn't be, a couple of weeks time, we're going to see Manchester City most likely at the top of the table. I look at their schedule, including this game, next two at home against Palace and Villa, then West Brom away, Sheffield United at home again, and February 2nd, it's Liverpool away, I suppose. But until that time, yeah, we're talking about Liverpool. Yes, we're talking about Manchester United because they meet this weekend. But I almost think that it's going to be City in a couple of weeks' time that's going to be sitting on top.
Well, they are just 4 points off top spot now, and they have a further game in hand. Some of the other ESPN pundits think they're title favourites this season now. What do you say?
From the beginning, and I'm not changing that. I've been, somewhat jokingly a little bit, with some of the friends and pundits, I've been saying Liverpool champions in waiting, and my prediction, getting a little bit nervous. Although, as I've said, I think Liverpool still has enough to accomplish that. But I've always said from the beginning, it's going to be between Liverpool and Manchester City. To be fair, you're looking at Manchester United asking questions. If Spurs win their game today, later on, I think they're going to be there or thereabout, right? Because they had 29 points. They'll go on 32. This is going to be absolutely fascinating. But from the beginning, it was Liverpool and City. I'll stick by it, although watch out for United, of course.
Yeah, of course. Very exciting Premier League title race this season, and City adding further excitement to it, climbing up that table steadily and surely.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.